Hey, this is Justin recording on a rainy Friday morning, and happens to be my dog's birthday today. And I want to talk about the Workflowy timeline, which is a system I've been using for a while. So if you don't know what Workflowy is, it's basically an infinite list of nested bullets. So it's a very simple list of bullets where you can do sub bullets, which you can do sub bullets, you can do sub bullets, and you can quickly move in, go out from like 50,000 feet to specific bullet points very quickly, and then reference other places inside of your workflow structure. So there's a gentleman, I'm probably going to butcher his last name, Frank Digenier, who created a system called the Workflowy timeline system, which basically puts everything that we've got to do into the future, right? And that I think it's a very it solves a big problem for me because I capture everything, and the problem with capturing everything is that you wind up having a huge backlog of stuff to work through, and then you spend a disproportionate amount of time sorting through the stuff that you have to sorting through the stuff to figure out what are the things that you have to work for on, right? So 80% of your time is spent, or like can be spent, just maintaining the system as opposed to working inside of the system. So the way that how this starts to solve is you go hour by hour with the work that you're actually going on, and then putting everything else out there into some future. Now, some stuff needs to get bucketed. It needs to get bucketed and rolled up into other places, but that can exist as one bullet point or it can exist as detailed bullet points. And so it starts giving us the freedom to have everything that we're working on, to know that nothing's going to get lost in the cracks because it sits out there it sits out there in the future. So the way that I structure it, I do an hours breakdown that starts at, which is basically, a little modification of how of how the original system was created, but an hours breakdown each day that starts morning, afternoon, and evening. Morning hours start at 5 o'clock, evening hours end at 11 o'clock, and just start putting a couple of things that we want to do into each one of those hours. So for instance, what I've been doing during this hour, I'm out walking my dog. That's part of my morning routine. And did a check-in with my coach, which is also part of my morning routine. And doing this live stream, again, part of my morning routine. And then, but I will take the link from this afterwards, because some work that I've got to do after this live stream. I've got to send the link to Opus Clips to start breaking it down into some other details. And then I've also got to add it to my clone, right? To add to the knowledge base of stuff that I can start to query and share out with other people a little bit later on. But I can just start with a starts with a link on the back end. It's windy today, so we capture a lot of wind in the background for this. I apologize. Anybody who's listening to this is going to probably be horrible audio to listen to on the back end. But so I have this gets published as one individual piece, and then it gets broken down into clips, all for the purposes of research, being able to see, what it is that we're creating that people are actually responding to. And I spend more time on creation on the front end, and then figuring out on the back end what the potential what the potential impact is. That's a much more pleasurable way for me to start to work through these systems, is create, put it out there, people call it ship it, and then see how people respond to it, and being okay if nobody listens, nobody listens, nobody responds, or nobody connects. But also knowing that every time somebody comments, that represents 10 other people who are like paying attention and are watching quiet. Or actually, every comment represents 100 people who see it, right? Every view represents, every comment, represents 100 people who have seen it, and it could potentially be thinking the same thing on the back end, right? So we put the stuff out there, and so he has a couple of different benefits. One, it gets ideas that are rattling around in the head, outside the head, into a place where they can potentially become useful. It starts to it builds up my AI clone with like more knowledge, so we can ask questions later of some of the stuff that we're talking about, and making connections that wouldn't already or wouldn't have been made in the past. And then yeah, and then it also serves as content out there, out there in the world, and then we could potentially get some new stuff with some of the research. So Workflow Timeline gets all of this stuff. Like, so this is the link. I just literally dropped the link into this current hour, which is 7 a.m. And I'll know what to do with after. I've got like protocols for how do we start processing this stuff after. How do you start processing these links after we're done? So, what else do I want to say about that? I'm gonna have to pick up another. Let me just pick up after my dog real quick. Done. Okay, and then yeah, and then with the systems making improvements every single day, or opportunistically actually making improvements. I like to say every single day, but it's when the when systemically, like looking to see, hey, what can I improve? How can I make this better? Um, and then also putting into the future, like here's all the potential stuff that we could do to start to make this work better, make it more meaningful. Oh, we're gonna get a bad we're gonna get some bad connections here. The other thing that I'm creating right now is I create a morning walk and talk on Otter. The goal would be to have a ton of our workflow activated via the um, yeah, via the Otter engine, right? Having a ton of the work, um, surface, like as far as like to ask questions, as far as what ideas start to emerge from the what ideas started to emerge from the conversations that we're building on, or what should I be working on, or what are some of the blind spots, or where have I actually accomplished something that I didn't even like. I accomplished something in a way that I didn't necessarily even know that we were able to accomplish it, and then what is it that we're going to actually work on in the future. And my experience right now is today is like, look, I've got some like random worries that typically have to do with other people, right? Like people in the family, right? There's like random worries about that all come down to, hey, I want to um, where we talk about like selfish behavior. Selfish, when you call somebody else selfish, that's basically telling them that you are prioritizing the stuff that matters to you more on the back end than the stuff that matters to me on the back end. And that's exactly where it comes to. And I'm not dealing necessarily with selfish behaviors, but things that I want to feel more comfortable around things that around. I'm speaking very cryptically around what other people do, as opposed to what they want, or to allow them to kind of learn on their own. So that's it, right? There's not like these big looming, like, oh, this is these big looming stressors that we have in the background of hey, here's stuff that's got to get done, or overwhelming list of stuff that we have to get done, and then so we can get to work on just the mental frameworks and the mental games. So like, let people be focus internally, lead, and when we're saying focus internally, like focus on myself, let people be the way that they are, from learn from um, learn from other people, learn from some of the lessons. So there's a real liberation of having everything as I sit here in the morning, like out there in the future, as opposed to all the stuff that we do out there in the future, as opposed to sitting in like in some past of um, where sitting in some past, right? So it's like we can start putting the things that we want to do into time in a meaningful way. So if anyone wants to chop it up on anything on the Workflowy timeline, please feel free to direct message me, and I think that will be I think I'm going to I think we'll put an end to this chat. So yeah, so please feel free to direct message if you want to connect on timeline or any of the other topics that we talk about during these walk and talk sessions. So have an amazing day, and we'll speak soon.